Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Bureau Detox. And here we're going to present the second episode. I'm Mathilde, and with me, Foivi. Are you ready for today's topic, Foivi?
Of course, Mathilde. Thank you. So today we're tackling something that has become significant. Burnout in the workplace. It's everywhere, but many of us don't even realize when it's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Burnout doesn't just happen overnight. It's a slow and long process that happens to many people in reality. So we will walk you and I, today, through Herbert Freudenberg and Gail North's 12 stages of burnout. If you've been feeling overwhelmed these days, you might recognize you in few of these.
Okay, let's kick it off with stage one. Excessive ambition. Sounds familiar? We've all been there, pushing to prove ourselves. Right, Mathilde?
Yeah, totally. Actually, you may not know, but 2 years ago, I've been through a hard burnout and I experienced it. I know what it feels like. You feel like you're taking too much on yourself. And also, you guys might recognize those feelings too. But, ambition was at first great for me. You feel like you can do everything you want in your life, you can achieve your dream. But then it became a disaster in my life.
Yeah, totally. And that can quickly turn into stage two, working harder, and not in a good way. Ever sacrifice your weekends or stayed up late for work?
Yeah, actually, I did. A long time ago, I did. Not this year. This year, I tried to put my health first, to sleep more, which is still complicated for me. But yes, I do try right now. And, self-care is important. And which leads us to stage 3, neglecting your needs.
Yeah, it's like forgetting to eat, sleep, or even relax. And when you neglect yourself, everything else starts to spiral. I mean, when was the last time you took a proper break?
Actually, this year, I think I do it every day. I try at least maybe 2 to 3 times a week. But yeah, 2 years ago, I didn't. I was only working, doing a lot of sports, music, and that's it. I wasn't hanging out with my friend. I wasn't hanging out with my family. And it was really hard for me to do so. And also, I want to tell you also, guys, that HR has conducted a survey that shows that coffee breaks are really essential for employees and that they improve their engagement and also their effectiveness within the company, which is really important. And I think those coffee breaks are important too in schools and in high school. I think this break at that time was my good break, And so that's what leads us to stage 4, displacing problems. You start blaming everything else, your job, your parents, your friends, your family, everyone is just the problem. But actually, you're not taking the real problem, which is burnout, and which is in your inner.
Exactly. You avoid facing the real problem. And that leads to stage 5, revision of values, where suddenly work becomes your entire life. Hobbies, family, friends, everything takes a backseat.
Yeah, guilty. I've been there too. I really didn't think about anything else but work. I was so obsessed to enter this school, to go there, to do this. And I was not thinking about anything else. It was on my mind from 8 a.m. to maybe 11 p.m., all the day. And it was really hard to process too. And that's when you start to denying the problem altogether. It's like saying to yourself and to everyone, "What burnout? What is I'm not in burnout."
And then comes stage 7, withdrawal. You stop hanging out with friends or even chatting with coworkers. It's isolation central. You may have felt that don't even your family wants to see you, but actually it's you that's disappearing. And that's okay.
Yeah, indeed. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, guys. It's really important to not put pressure on yourself. because you're not at the best stage of your life doesn't mean your life is ending or you're not a great person. So always remember that. However, this brings us to stage 8, which is impact on others. As you say, people start to feeling it too. My family actually started to warn me, started to cry with me when I was crying, started to, feeling like as if I was disappearing my personality was disappearing. Like I had no taste, nothing. I was seeing everything in gray, like everything had no flavor at all, which was really complicated. And also at that time, I was under antidepressants and also benzodiazepines. If people or guys, you might know it or not. And I really struggle with this because I feel like you should take medicine under prescriptions. And sometimes medicines are not always the best thing for everyone.
Yeah, but they help.
Yeah.
Technology. Okay, and here's where things get more complicated and heartbreaking with stage 9, depersonalization, where you feel completely detached from reality. Everything, work, life, family, friends, everything feels like a monotonous routine, and it's like the passion was never there, like it's completely drained away.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like going through the motions without even feeling nothing. You're just moving forward in your life without feeling anything. It's just, you're not there. Just feel, empty at this time. And that is the stage 10, emptiness.
Yeah. And if you don't catch it, things can quickly turn into stage 11, depression. That's when burnout becomes a real serious emotional crisis. Overall, you're feeling overwhelmed and getting out of bed seems impossible. And I wonder how many working young people are experiencing that.
Yeah, you know what? At that time, and I think, guys, you might be interested in this too. I was wondering too, like how many people was like me, because I was 17 when I did a burnout, and I thought that was like a pretty young age to have depression or burnout. Like I always thought it was just at only 40. And in 2023, data from Le Monde and related to this too indicate that approximately 1 in 5 young people have had symptoms from depressive disorders and burnout. And this reflects actually a growing concerns in Europe, in France, but also in the world. And this is really concerning regarding mental health for the youth.
Exactly. Moving on, we have stage 12, full burnout syndrome. It's where exhaustion hits extreme. Mentally, physically, and emotionally, you're running on empty. Tasks that were once simply now feel overwhelming, and joy doesn't seem like an achievable goal. It's not just static. Your body and mind are in full shutdown mode.
Yeah.
And you may even question, like, what am I doing here? You feel emotionally down.
Yeah, actually, yes. And I wanted to add to this point. I'm telling my experience of this. Maybe you might have not experienced the same thing, but for me, antidepressants like contributed a lot to feeling empty, to feeling bad. I think we always say it helps, but for me, it didn't help at all. Like I was having nightmares, and I would remember nightmares, and I would like, like everything was fuzz. Like reality and my nightmares were like confusing. I didn't know if reality was reality, if my nightmares were nightmares. And I was living like this. I was always waking up in the morning, really sweating a lot. Like every night I had to change my pajamas, for example, because of antidepressants too. Because it really drains your body. But don't freak out, guys. We're not here to scare you. Of course, we're just here to help you recognize everything.
Exactly. And if you're feeling overly dedicated, neglecting self-care, or starting to feel detached, it's time to hit pause.
Yeah.
So how can you spot burnout early on? Some of the signs are excessive dedication, neglect of self-care, irritability, emotional detachment, and even physical symptoms like chronic fatigue.
Yeah, exactly. And guys, I think that's really important. If you notice the symptoms on someone, your colleague, your friend, your family, really tell them, and also tell them to go to see someone, whether it's a therapist, whether it's just a medicine, or whether it's just a friend or someone from your family or outside. Really try to make them talk, because taking time to talk is really the most important thing. And it's the first step.
Yeah. So what can you do about it? Well, step 1, take a break. Seriously, even a weekend off can help you reset your brain. And don't be afraid to set boundaries. Saying no to extra tasks can be a game changer to your personal life.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, recovery from burnout is not something that happens overnight. Maybe you might have like stereotypes that burnout can just only last. It's like depression, a lot of people don't take it seriously those days, and they just say like it lasts 1 month, 2 months, or just maybe 2 days. But it lasts years. It can last years and years and years. For me, I don't even know if I ended my burnout. I think I still have things to change and things to figure that out by myself, because we need help, yes, but if you don't find the answers in yourself, nothing will happen if you don't put like your motivation to come out of it.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree. So self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. You gotta know that 54% of those experiencing burnout or stress do not feel comfortable talking about it. So keep in mind that talking is a good idea, always.
Yeah, it's always a good idea. For me, I always struggled talking with others for this subject. Not because I was ashamed of it. And again, guys, don't feel ashamed of it. But no, it's just that it's not like in my personality to say things like this. I always act strong. I always do what I have to do in work, what I have to do in my life, but I don't like to talk about it. So I went to a therapist. He really helped me. I did EMDR. It's a technique that therapists do to roll your eyes, and it's just like souvenirs disappear at some time, like traumas. And I also did like hypnosis, which really worked on me. And I did like sports, meditation. To not do meditation, and I shouldn't still, because sometimes I struggle to deal with my emotions. But yeah, I really advise you guys to do yoga, meditation, and to go see people that can help you, really.
So moving on, let's welcome our guest, Clair Arca, who is going to walk us through her own experience with burnout. She has been working in a travel agency in San Diego, California, for a long time, and she recently moved to a real estate firm here in France. We have prepared some questions for her. Francis, so let's begin.
So my name is Clair Arca. I am a 52-year-old. I have been working since I am in my 20s. I started my work career in the United States. I worked for corporations in bigger companies, and I worked also for myself. I did start my business there and was self-employed for many years. Then I came back to France about 10 years ago. Then I worked as an employee for a company, a family-oriented company. I worked there about 5 years or 4 years. And then I went back to what I do best, which is be a auto-entrepreneur. Because to me it was just, I just felt more comfortable making decisions, and my work experience also got me to be able to manage, and I learned a lot in the United States. So I was able to start my business here again, and to me was just what I needed to be fulfilled in my work career. Now I am working, so I started a new business here. I'm working as a real estate agent compared to a travel agent in the United States. So I'm still in sales pretty much, which is what I do best. And I'm loving it. I'm just working with clients and creating relationship, and this is fulfilling.
So, Claire, you moved from a fast-paced city like San Diego to different lifestyle in France. Have you ever, in both fields, felt overwhelmed? And if so, what were the signs?
Working in the US and working in France is not really the same in a way where, for example, where both can be stressful, but I think that in the US they are really focusing, and they are getting there in France too, more and more. But in the US, they are most focusing in the health of the employee. That's saying that they are conscious, and probably because work there was more stressful. I think there is long hours, there is less vacation time. You only get 2 weeks vacation a year, so people really had their health more impacted than in France, where it's a little bit less stressful. Well, depends where you work, of course, but you have more free time. There is less hours of work. You work 35 hours compared to 40 to 45 there. So it was overwhelming, where I would say that they really focus more on health for their employee because it becomes obvious that there was a lot of depression, a lot of burnout. And so they have to become aware that they just couldn't keep that way, because it was affecting the production, of course, of every business, and plus the medical impact and financial aspect of it. So they started creating workplace that had a gym included, where you would take time, a lot of things, including more incentive, things like that, to get people more motivated. In France, I would say that it is getting there to recognize people's health, but in my proper experience where I worked, I did feel that there was no much recognition for the employee as it was there. Like, for example, in the US, every year you get a raise. It's automatic. You don't have to ask for it. And depending on your performance, it's going to really be a good raise. Here, I felt like you always had to ask to be augmented. You always had to ask for everything. So, and again, it depends on the company, because I see some companies now that they are really getting more advanced in the way they hire people. Some company where they set a relax room and things like that. But some companies here are still very archaic in their way they employ people, and they're not very worried about their employees' health, and it's all about production and money, and they try to pay them as little as possible. There is still in France, I think, a lot of people that are being paid at a minimum wage, where in America that's not really the case anymore. There is a minimum wage, but people don't get paid a minimum wage. But here, a lot of people, after many years of working with the same company, are still being paid very low minimum wage, and this is what I experienced working here since I came back.
As you know, in both industries, long hours and high expectations are common. How do you manage to keep burnout at bay, especially during your busiest time?
Well, sometimes it's unavoidable. Again, that's going to really depend on how you're being treated. It's really going to depend on how you're being recognized as a professional. If you do the best you can and you're still being asked for more and more, without no incentive or no rewards behind, then you're going to end up in a burnout because everybody needs to have the little carrot. Everybody needs to have recognition for what they do. They need to be proud of their job. And they need to feel that they're part of a company and not just a number. So it's not going to be just up to you to not go on to a burnout. It's going to be important if you fear that you are not getting these rewards and this what you need to feel good. It's important to talk about it, to learn how to say no, which is something that's very difficult to say when you start in your job career because you're just young. And when we are young, like when I was young, for example, I would just accept what is sent my way, and I will just do what I'm supposed to do. And that's how you end up in burnout. Now, as I'm getting older, I know how to say no. I know how to be reasonable and just perform within my line of duty and what my profession exiges. But if I feel like somebody is taking advantage of me, then I'm going to know how to say no. And this is the only way to avoid the burnout, to speak up your mind, to not let anybody take advantage, and to just request respect from your hierarchy. And that's just very important.
Having worked both in US and France, have you noticed any cultural differences in workplace expectation or attitudes toward work-life balance? Do you think those differences can contribute to burnout in either environment?
I noticed here that here there was a bit more competition. Less team player attitude. That is my experience. I'm not saying that's general, but that is my experience, where they will throw you under the bus if they have to. So that can happen over there in the US too. It just didn't happen because there was just more communication, because the team leaders were more involved, because we had a lot more meetings, because we had to always talk about how everybody feels and all that. So that helped avoid those situations. But here, where I worked, since I came back to France, there was nothing like that. There, it was just like... everybody was pretty much on his own, and you were not necessarily surrounded by people that wanted to communicate or were taught to communicate in a workplace. So it was a bit more stressful for me here, and I understand why there is possibly more burnout, because there is a lot of my experience, I saw a lot more stabbing,
What advice will you give to someone considering a big career change, especially when it comes to managing the stress and potential burnout that come with learning a new industry?
Well, everybody has a different personality, so I will say that first it's very important for a person to know itself, himself or herself, and to really focus on doing a job that they enjoy. That's going to be, in the end, a lot more important than the money you're going to be making. It's just very important to concentrate in doing something that you like, to avoid burnout. It's important not to stay in a place where you don't feel good, even though that's sometimes difficult, because it's not easy. Depending where you are, it's not easy to find a job, but it's important if you voice your opinion and it's not taken into consideration. It's very important to leave and to just start looking for somewhere else. You're not. It's important not to feel obligated to stay in one place if you're not happy, because that's really going to affect your health, your mental health, and that's something that's very hard sometimes to recuperate from, and it can take months. When you do a burnout, it can take months to get back into the workplace and feel good again. So it's very important not to let yourself too long in a situation where you get up in the morning and you're not happy about what you're doing and about the job you're going to and the people surrounding you. It's not good to let that be in your life too long because it's very toxic.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you guys for joining us. And always remember, and it's an advice from both of us, but also because I've been through it, any deadline is not more important than your health and self-care. So take care. Take care, everyone. Bye.